As Stugo is changing their rules, this MHS class is defying classroom norms. In Mr. King's Words from the Wild class, students learn in a less traditional way. Here's Mallory Elder with the story.
Mason High School offers a variety of courses that allow students to explore new topics and styles of learning. But one stands out among the rest, taking students out of the classroom and into nature. MHS teacher Tim King is the founder of this unique class, Words from the Wild.
We talk a lot about species. Some of the science classes aren't able to cover species per se because they have to deal more with the really small level of things like the molecular level, cellular level. So in Words from the Wild, we get to talk just about the animals themselves, fish, birds, mammals, and extinction. Sadly, we talk about extinction. And then we do a little bit of fishing, fly tying, hiking, talk about mountains, mountain climbing. So lots of the outdoor pursuits, the outdoors in general, nature in general, and writing about all those things. Around 300 students per year take Words from the Wild, and I understand that that's because we have an outdoor classroom. Right now we're sitting in part of the City of Mason property along Mason-Montgomery Road, these 5 acres we can use. We also have the campus, Mason High School campus, and Pine Hill Park. So we're really lucky to have these places nearby that we can go. Everybody likes a break from the regular day, get outside, see what we can see, and it's amazing some of the things we do see out on we call them days of field.
Senior Luke Shields decided to take Mr. King's Words from the Wild class for a unique experience to finish out his high school career.
Mr. King is a really open-minded teacher, and he does a lot of stuff that a lot of teachers don't do, and I think it's great. It's really nice to finally have an opportunity to go outside and learn about everything nature. Mr. King is he just knows so much. While walking around with him, he can just he'll just pick up a random flower and tell you about it. He told me that there's some flowers over there, and if you de-root them, it has tiny potatoes in the bottom of it, and you can eat the potatoes if you have to survive. And it's just random quirky facts like that make this class worthwhile.
Whether you're fly fishing at Pine Hill or listening for birds, in Mr. King's Words in the Wild class, you're never far from nature. I'm Mallory Elder, NBC News.
As crazy as this class may seem, it's not as crazy as the cafeteria can get. Andrew Boeres has the story.
When a stampede of 1,200 students rush to the lunchroom, it becomes an all-out battle to get your food and find a seat.
Sophomore Jake Sewell explains how lunch can be more stressful than fun.
Sometimes I cut through towards the main office to avoid the traffic and the congestion of people. I'm aggressive. When it comes to food, I do anything, I need my food. 3 meals a day, I need to survive. I have been pushed, and I will shove you if you get in front of me in the lunch line. I believe it's a cluster because everyone needs to find a place to sit, as well as find a good meal to eat. They want to get the first meal, which is usually the best, as well as a good seat at the lunch table.
Sophomore Nick Santoleri feels that lunch is a crowded and chaotic time.
I think there's not a good flow of traffic from the classes to the lunchroom. There's only one entrance. Everyone comes to C-Pod some way from somewhere, and then they all go into the cafeteria, so it's not a great flow. I am a complete savage when it comes to food. I'll destroy you in the lunch line if you get in my way. Yes, do not mess with me. I think that if you add another line, it would help the flow of traffic. But I think it would need to be more than one. I think it'd need to be 2 or 3 to actually make an impact. I think people need more than 30 minutes. It feels rushed sometimes, and it's supposed to be more relaxed setting, I feel like. And if you go over to Europe and stuff, they eat lunch for they go home and eat lunch 2 hours, and then they take a nap and they come back to school. We should do that. We should definitely do that.
So next time you hear that lunch bell ring, you better get your turbo bun ready, or you'll find yourself stuck at the end of the line. I'm Andrew Boeres, NBC News.
As we talk about the school, the cafeteria isn't the only place of interest. Since the new Learning Commons has been built, a common question has been why. Alex Perez is here to let us know.
With many changes coming to MHS, the school library is one of them. As many of you know, the Media Center is changing into the new Learning Commons. These changes will affect the school in more than one way.
We were becoming more of just a computer lab, and this is such a big dynamic space that we really needed to make it more user-friendly and get more kids in here doing more things. But I think at some point it's going to be seen more as a place that you want to go instead of some place you have to go and you have to get something done. You can go anywhere in the school and find a computer lab, but in here we wanted to develop this environment where kids could work in groups and work together instead of always just working on a computer. Well, so far we've gotten rid of all the books that no one was reading. It makes it really hard to find books that you want to read if the shelves are just crowded with books that have been sitting there for 20 years not getting checked out. And then we've adapted all the furniture that used to be bookshelves and all the tables with wheels. So now the space can be created into whatever you want it to be. We've also made some collaboration booths down the side. There's 8 of them. Where groups can work together, and there are going to be monitor screens there, so when you bring your own device, you can plug it in and use it. Now we've gotten rid of 2 computer labs, but we're replacing those computer labs with laptops. So you'll still be able to work on computers in here, but you'll be able to move wherever you want, not just stay in one stagnant place. So it makes it more collaborative.
With the library changing in more than one way, the changes to the media center will have to be determined beneficial or not. For students, this is yet to be determined. I'm Alejandro Perez, NBC News.
The Media Center isn't the only new landmark on Comic Country. Mason's Crossroads Church is now becoming what they're calling a megachurch. Dani Weaver has the story.
There is a wide variety of religion here at Mason. With the religious diversity growing, we see churches, synagogues, and temples popping up anywhere they can fit. In particular, megachurches around Mason have been showing up where old factories used to stand. Crossroads, a megachurch, has decided to put their new building on the site of the old paper factory. Mark Stecher, the pastor at the new Crossroads, is trying to reduce the barriers of access to the churchgoers in the Mason area.
We're a multi-site church, so we have 4 different campuses. And the reason we do that is because we try to actually reduce the barriers to people coming in and attending. If you only have a church down in Oakley, it's awfully difficult to spend 45 minutes getting there, attending for an hour, hour and a half, and then driving another 40 minutes. It's hard to invite your friends, say, hey, come with me and spend 3 hours to go to church. The drawbacks in building a big facility have to do with some logistic issues, like when you have a lot of people, there's a lot of traffic. It was one of the concerns the city had as we were making a proposal about how we'd use the space, trying to get people in and out of the parking lot quickly, making sure that it doesn't affect negatively all the businesses and the residences that are surrounding it. It's an opportunity for us to kind of fight that by doing really well in those areas and say, no, we actually are going to have police there. We're going to have people in our parking lots that are helping folks get in and out quickly.
Despite the minor drawbacks Crossroads has, the multi-site church strives to make sure everyone gets connected and the impressions they have about the megachurch are good ones. I'm Dani Weaver, NBC News.
At a church this big, finding parking is bound to be difficult. And at a school as big as Mason, people are having the same problem. Unless, of course, you park where you're not supposed to. Ryane Kearney caught up with some of these students.
2 words many kids at MHS dread to hear is pool lot. A 5-minute walk every morning and afternoon through pouring rain, snow, and extreme temperatures. For many students at MHS, parking the teacher lot to avoid the walk from the pool lot is worth the possible consequences.
I get paranoid when I park in the teacher lot. Like when I parked there, well, I used to park there, but like I was always get scared that teachers were going to catch me because you're not supposed to park there. I've just gotten told to move my car twice, which I'm surprised I haven't like gotten to Saturday school or anything, because I know people who have, but yeah, I haven't gotten in that much trouble. I know a lot of people that park in the teacher lot. I mean, I've gotten caught with 2 people, but they're mostly sophomores. I mean, there's juniors that do too, but it's mostly just sophomores. I definitely think they should like sell those empty spots that are in the teacher lot, because no one even parks there. Like, I don't know why they're there if no one can park there. Like, I think it's stupid.
Whether it is allowed or not, parking the teacher lot to avoid the walk twice a day to and from the pool lot is common among many students at MHS. But luckily, their senior year, they'll have their own spot closer to the school. I'm Ryane Kearney, NBC News.
Hopefully the teacher in our next story doesn't have to deal with those problems, especially not with all the effort that she puts into making her class enjoyable for her students. Here's Sydney Brant with the story.
The setting at the beginning of the bell for most geometry classes are strictly warm-ups and homework check-ins, but for Katie Holmes' geometry classes, she takes on a different approach, allowing students to imagine themselves on a beach to de-stress.
So I started doing the beach about halfway through the school year because I was noticing that I thought a lot of the students at the high school seemed stressed out. You could create the best worksheets, you could create the best lesson plans, you could have the best assessments, you could do everything perfect, but if your students came into your classroom and they were not ready to learn, then it didn't matter what you did. They're going to come in with that baggage, and they will be not as successful in your class because they're too focused on what they're worried about.
Sophomore Jordan Grollmus is one of many students who enjoy the beach.
I like the beach because it allows me time to leave non-school related thoughts outside of the classroom. It just helps the students focus, and it's just 60 seconds, so I think they could squeeze that in the beginning of class.
Whether you're cramming for a test or simply preparing for a class, take a deep breath and relax. It just may help. I'm Cindy Brant, NBC News.
In America, sports and records may be a big deal, but for these kids with parents overseas, they may have other priorities. Here's Katie Hulbert with the story.
Many students at MHS will go home to familiar faces at the end of the day. However, some teens face a different reality. Whether it's a fear of the unknown or taking on multiple jobs, students with parents overseas have to learn how to embrace the difficult circumstances that are brought to the table.
Although it may be hard, junior Maddie Armbruster supports her father in his decision to work overseas.
I always wish that my dad had a normal job, but I am proud that he's doing something for our country, and most of all, he's doing something that makes him happy. I have a ton more responsibilities. I have to do all the garbages and brush the pets, and it's just something we all have to divide up and contribute. When he returned over spring break, he surprised me in the parking lot when I was backing up. I saw him in the rearview mirror, and he has all these Afghan clothes on, and I parked the car and I run out and I start crying and I just jump onto him. It was really emotional, but it was really nice to see him. We hear things on the news yeah, there's been a bombing near the DynCorp airport or something like that, and we're like, oh great, that's where my dad is, and since the time zones are so different, we have to wait until 12 o'clock at night to be able to hear him when he wakes up to make sure he's okay. So just that period, it always freaks us out.
Maddie's father has missed many events and made many sacrifices to do his job.
I missed her sister's graduation. I didn't leave until right after prom, so that was good, but I missed her 16th birthday, missed our 25th anniversary, things like that. To be honest, the single hardest thing is getting on the plane to come back here. If nothing else, I think, especially my daughters, have come to appreciate the little things in life a lot more and take less for granted than they did before.
Although these teens miss their parents and may wish they had a more normal job, they are proud of everything that they have done and accomplished. I'm Katie Hulbert, NBC News.
While many people are going overseas to protect our country, many Mason students are going to a more local place, curious about an old rumor. Vannelle has the story.
Lick Road in Hamilton's became a late-night cruising spot for a lot of Mason thrill seekers. They are interested in the legend and story behind Lick Road. In the early 90s, a woman named Amy was brutally attacked and murdered, and her body was left under the bridge. They have reported strange footsteps and high-pitched screams. If you look closely on the bridge, her name is graffitied onto the concrete. They do not know much about Lick Road, but they are curious enough to venture out to Hamilton. It used to be the old powder factory where people cruise for late-night thrills, but curious teens, Lick Road seems to fit their likings. Mason sophomore Kyle Lamotte has visited Lick Road many times.
Heard about Lick Road from friends and saw a lot about it on Twitter. I don't know much about it. I know a girl got killed down there.
Many students just like Kyle Lamotte are still venturing out to Lick Road. I'm Vince Vannelle, NBC News.
As scary as a haunted Lick Road may be, many of us can't imagine having a pet snake, let alone multiple. Max Doerrer caught up with a student who does.